Do you know they got on that tour bus? And I'm sitting there in the lobby. We're checked out with my suitcase, looking like Buddha Clown or whatever you want to call it, just looking dumb.
We kicking it, kicking it, kicking it. We ain't taking no L's. I don't care how they feel.
On this week's episode of Kickin It Wit Killa, I have Delaware's own Juggernaut. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of things. I want to get behind the brain of Mr. Juggernaut himself. So make sure you pull up your seat, spark that brain, and let's kick it. Jug, what's going on with you, brother?
What's good with you?
Ain't nothing, man. Before we get into everything, I like to do this thing called the quick kick, right? So I'm going to ask you a couple questions, this or that, and you answer the questions to your best of your ability, right?
Okay.
All right, so we going hip-hop with this, you know what I'm saying? So here we go. Nas or KRS-One?
KRS-One, for his time, was undisputed, undeniable, one of the best lyricists of his time.
Right.
But when he came along, I think Nas just kind of took it another step further as far as like how mainstream is almost to this day with the wordplay and things like that.
So you're basically saying like, you know, he kind of just took it to another level, piggybacked off of what KRS-One did and just kind of went with it. You know what I'm saying? Even though KRS-One is South Bronx and Nas is Queensbridge, but you know, that's another thing. That's another thing to talk about. So here goes the next one.
Okay.
Mobb Deep or Capone-N-Noriega?
I would have to go Capone-N-Noriega.
Ooh, Capone-N-Noriega.
I just listened to Capone-N-Noriega more than I did Mobb Deep. Honestly, I wasn't a fan of Mobb Deep. I don't have nothing against them, but they just wasn't on my playlist.
Okay.
It was Capone-N-Noriega when they came out, man. Them dudes, especially Nori. I used to listen to all their music.
Yeah, the War Report, all that good stuff. But Mobb had some joints though. They had the Quiet Storm. But you're right. Not Nori ended up going. Once Nori ended up going solo, I guess Capone ended up getting locked up. Nori ended up having his own solo album, and he did snap though. You know what I'm saying? Got with Pharrell, did a couple things. You know what I'm saying? So
I used to listen to all that Nori.
Yeah.
In fact, that's how I got turned on when it was Capone-N-Noriega.
Right.
That's when I first got introduced to the group, and I was banging with him.
Yeah. All right, so here goes the next one, the last one, this or that, right? Since we in security and all that, and you watching everybody's back, would you rather be security for, all right, let's picture the time too when I say this. Would you rather be security for Ice Cube during the NWA days, right? Knowing the type of mess they were getting into back then, or Tupac during the whole Death Row days? They both wilding out. They're both wilding out.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I would, for this or that. I'm a big, huge Tupac fan.
Right.
Love Tupac to death. But I would have to decline and roll with Ice Cube when they was rolling Dr. Dre and all them type dudes, and Ice Cube. Yeah, definitely Ice Cube. I think it's a safer bet because I don't think I would want to be. I'm a big, strong dude, but I'm an intelligent man.
Right.
But I really don't think I would want to be around Suge Knight, Death Row, and all them dudes doing security because I feel like I wouldn't be doing security. At this point, I'm thinking I'm probably more along the guidelines of a hired goon. And that's not what I'm not. I'm not a hired goon.
Yeah.
I'm just supposed to keep you safe, get you from point A to point B and then back to point A. Yeah, Ice Cube, definitely.
You know what? The more you say about it, you're right. You probably would have been more of a hired goon than anything dealing with Suge, right? Because Suge already had a whole entourage that was following him around. Tupac was wilding at that time. Let's be real. Let's be real about it. Tupac was ready to set something off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I feel that. So you got the name Juggernaut, right?
Yes, sir.
How did we get that name? How did that come about?
Oh, okay. History lesson. I got it when I was 22 or 21 years old. And I'm really good at chess, believe it or not. A lot of people thought I got the name from being in the streets or something of that nature.
Right.
But actually, I've been playing chess for a very long time. I studied books. I played all over, up and down the East Coast. I won a couple tournaments. I won in Massachusetts. I played in the World Open, Virginia, DC, Boston. Used to go to the Mercantile Chess Club in Philly. Used to go to the world famous Marshall Chess Club in Manhattan. I was a member of the Manhattan Chess Club, and I used to play at Washington Square Park. So a lot of people, and my secret weapon was because I was always a big guy. People assumed that I was big and dumb and didn't know how to play chess. But actually, I would bust that ass on the chessboard, and I prefer to play blitz.
Right.
I actually played 3 minutes and under. I started out playing 5 minutes, 3 minutes, but I also can play long tournament games. So long story short, I got the name Juggernaut playing chess.
Wow.
Yeah.
See?
Of all things, playing chess.
See,
And
that's
all
a
it
history
means
lesson right there. I like that.
and all Juggernaut means is just unstoppable force.
Right.
So on the chessboard, I was unstoppable force.
I like it. I like it.
Mhm.
Juggernaut, the freaking the chess playing pro over there, getting it done. He said it 3 minutes. Knock it out.
Yeah.
Bung. I like it. I like it. So how did this unstoppable force leave from being an elite chess player to jumping in security? Like how did that whole security part come about with you?
So anybody who's done security in Delaware, they heard of or been in the nightlife in Delaware, they know of Ron Kinslow.
Yeah.
Ron Kinslow, I always like to work out. And Ron Kinslow approached me at a gym. It was called Body Vision at the time before they switched it over to Retro Fitness. So Ron Kinslow approached me in the gym and he said to me, he said, excuse me, he said, you ever think about doing security? And the first thing came out of my mouth was, fuck no. The first thing came out of my mouth was those words. But he wasn't bothered by it. He actually said, I could pay you $100 a night. And this was years ago, right?
Yeah.
He said, I could pay you $100 a night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He said, that's $300 a week, $600 every 2 weeks. He said, it's $1,200 a month. He said, you can't use the extra $1,200 a month coming into your household. So the way he said that, yeah, I could use the extra $1,200 coming into my household a month.
Right.
My rent at the time was $1,050 for a 3-bedroom townhouse. Yeah, that's my rent.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah. So funny story afterwards, I said to my folks, I said, I'm gonna go do security this weekend. I said, but if some shit jump off, it just jump off. I ain't doing nothing. I'm just gonna go collect my money and I'm out. But the funny thing was, soon we got there, a fight did break out that night. It was a big fight. And guess who was the first one in the middle of the fight breaking the fight up? Me.
Right there.
So at that point, I was like, well, I guess I'm security. Because when I looked at it was like 7 guys, and it was a high school party, beating up 3 guys. And I looked at it like these are somebody's kids.
Right.
And I would want somebody to protect my kids. And just like I'm sure anybody would want somebody to protect their kids if they're getting jumped by 7 guys at a party.
Right.
So my thought process was I need to protect these 3 guys. And I put my body in front of them. And then I started trying to carry the aggressors out. And then that's when kids on the rest of the team came over there. But for the most part, I was by myself in the beginning parts of that big brawl. Yeah.
So first, and shouts out to Kinslow, man. I remember meeting him, and it was Goat's Gym back in the days, actually, back on Kirkwood Highway.
Yep. Well, to kind of elaborate how it all started, Kinslow got me into the game. And then I can't forget Corey, the fireman. I think he's like fire chief now. I'm not sure what his title is now, but Corey was long-term in the game. And Kinslow, Corey, and 2 other groups, they had like what was called the Four Horsemen.
Okay.
And they pretty much ran the security scene in Delaware when I was coming up. And I was the young guy coming behind these guys. And Corey, I ended up linking up with Corey. And for a while, I was like for a short while, I was Corey's right-hand man for a brief moment. And Corey kind of put me onto bigger and better platforms, doing celebrities. We did Making Good. I did the guy Omar from The Wire. We were doing bodyguard work.
Right.
And Duffy Hope's celebrity softball games. So Corey plugged me into that type of arena. And that's where my roots started, was when Kinslow introduced me into security, and Corey kind of like showed me a bigger stage a bigger platform.
So I guess that's easy to transition into my next question. What point made you decide, you know what, I like what's going on. Let me create my own business. Let me create my own thing of security. Like how did that process happen for you?
Any of the old schoolers out there, if they heard of this place called Equator Lounge
Equator
off of Route
Lounge.
4,
Yep.
yeah, it wasn't if they was going to fight. It was like Roadhouse, but what time, we used to bet on what time the fight would start. The capacity was 300, and we put 400 people in there every Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. 400 people, 300 capacity, shoulder to shoulder in the summertime.
Uh-huh.
Every side of town is coming to this place. It was African owned. It was owned by Walter and Kefa, two Kenyans, and then Steven, he was from Nigeria. Steven was mad cool.
Right.
But so I was head security. Went there. Corey actually sent me there. And what ended up happening was, I guess I didn't know the rules of engagement. So I went there. Corey sent me there to hold it down one night. They ended up taking my number and they called me back. I didn't understand the etiquette, being transparent here. And when they called me back, I should have told them to call Corey.
Right.
But I went back and then they called me again and again. So then when Corey ended up calling me, he said to me, I hit him up one night. I was like, yo, I need some extra guards. You got some extra guards? He was like, where you at? I said, I'm at Equator Lounge. And then he was like, well, what are you doing at Equator Lounge? I'm like, but I just didn't know, so
you weren't
he
thinking
said,
anything of it. You were just like, they called me back
Right.
instead of going through
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Right. So that's how I ended up with Equator Lounge. I ended up being head security there. Corey was upset with me. We talked about it several times. I apologized because that's really like stepping on somebody's toes.
Right. Right.
That wasn't my intent. Honestly, that was not my intent. I was new to security. I didn't think nothing of it. I looked at it like wrongly. Corey was out here doing his, a lot of other stuff. I didn't think he even cared about this little tiny club. It was a little hole in the wall.
Right.
But still, that was my bad. I should have told them they got to holler at Corey because I wouldn't have met them if it wasn't for Corey.
Right.
So it wasn't my intent to backdoor anybody or to do anything different. The pay was still the same. I didn't go any lower. It was the same pay. So I ended up being in security. They started needing more guards. I started hiring more people. And I did what Kinslow did. I started recruiting out of the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it started. And then being a door guy, if you're a door guy, the door guy gets most of the conversations. And what I started noticing is I'm big on networking. I started knowing the picture guy, the DJs, the promoters, the club owners, other promoters coming through the door, they taking my number. And then they said, we're having a party next Saturday. So then I need another group of guys to go over here next Saturday. And then I would start it, which was called team leaders, to hold down Equator Lounge if I was at another location with another promoter. And then that's just how it started.
So you were speaking of being the doorman and getting a lot of contacts, just doing that in itself, right? So when I first came to Delaware, after started doing mixtapes and started doing little events here and there, so I grabbed up a person by the name of Joe, Big Joe, right? I'm pretty sure you probably worked with him a couple times. I built a good relationship with him where he was my security, was my personal security. So my whole thing, I would bring him to whatever events I'm at. The facility might have their own security. He was the person that was there for me, right?
Understood.
And I would say, all right, listen, I can handle myself. If anything pops off, you just make sure nobody touch my equipment. And none of my equipment gets fucked up, right? So it started off as that. And then when it came to me doing events myself, I said, you know what? I'm good. I need you to just be at the door. You collect the money. You check everybody and you collect the money because I wasn't trusting anybody collecting the money. You know what I'm saying? And end up giving him his first opportunity being security for a celebrity person at that time, right? When I believe it was E-Ness was probably his first person that he ended up being security for. And then it just spiraled on from them. I'm pretty sure you probably work with Big Joe as well.
Joe started out history lesson as a Juggernaut.
Yeah.
He was at Equator Lounge with me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he started out, he was very young, but he was a big, strong young guy. Yeah, he started out with us at Equator Lounge back in 2008. Tell him
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. And he's definitely good, man. I don't know if there's anybody I know, I definitely got Joe there and he's gonna take care of business. You know what I'm saying? So you're able to build these contacts, and I'm pretty sure from there you're able to get more gigs, essentially, right? I know you've gotten celebrity people that you've worked for, but how did you end up getting your own? What was your first time, your first celebrity person that you was able to reach out to your own, or whoever reached out to you? How did that experience go itself?
Social media was just starting to take off, Instagram. And fortunately, the female I was dating at the time, she was big on social media. And when I'm big by, she was always on Instagram and stuff like that. So when me and her started dating, she just was like, you need to post this, you need to post that. She was always up on every party, every event, every promoter. You need to reach out to this person, that person. So I started hanging. She was like my hype man, or for lack of a better word, she was always recording behind scenes. I knew how to edit. So I would go in and I would edit my videos after she would give me the footage by recording everything. And then I got a phone call off her Instagram, and I didn't believe it. It was for Katt Williams. And it was a guy out of Houston, Texas. His name was Nick. And I didn't believe him. I was actually in Retro Fitness. It used to be the old Body Vision. I'm in there training. I get a phone call. He was like, hey, my name is Nick, Katt Williams, Bodyguard. We looked at your Instagram. You came highly recommended. And he was like, well, we're on tour. We would like you to come on tour with us. He said, right now we're out in California. We're headed to Hawaii. So I was like, I didn't believe it. I'm like, yeah. And I was
You're like, okay.
so I said, well, I appreciate the offer. You just caught me at a bad time. And I'm making pretty good money at the clubs because I got multiple clubs expanding out, doing different locations. So I wasn't really, I didn't believe it. I said, well, when would you want me to start? He was like, now, we want to book your flight and fly out to California, then we're going to fly out to Hawaii. So I'm like, well, this is, you caught me at a bad time, blah, blah, blah. So plus I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Very next day, I'm at the gym again, retro, working out again, same phone call. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to squander this opportunity because I believe in windows of opportunity. So I said, if this is real, because I didn't believe it, I said, if this is real, he'll book them flights. So I gave him my information and we looked at the time. I literally had maybe 2-3 hours to go home, pack a suitcase, jet to Philly, and catch this flight. I looked up, I got an email, confirmation, all this stuff. I'm like, so then I
You're like,
tell
this is
all
real. Oh yeah, yeah.
so I'm not a mama's boy, but I hit my mom up and I hit my sister up. Said if I could turn up missing, I'm going to California with these guys. I was going by myself. It was just me.
Yeah.
So I fly out to California. It was a real deal. They picked me up, black car service at the airport. From the airport, they took me straight to a 5-star hotel. We always stayed at the Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons or something that was beyond jaw dropping.
Right.
For his security team, Katt Williams spared no expenses when it comes to his entourage, including his security team.
Right.
So from there, we flew to Hawaii. We did a show, and then from Hawaii, we ended up shooting to, I want to say, Charlotte, North Carolina, and we stayed in Ritz-Carlton there. And then we just on tour. It was every weekend. And he overpays. He was very generous. The pay was phenomenal. I never made that type of money in my life ever. And then he would tip us. So you would get a handshake and it's an extra $1,200 or an extra $1,500. And this was on a regular, on top of your already ridiculous salary. They paid for our lodging, they paid for travel, and they paid for per diem. And one time, quick story, I ran up a bill in my room for $700 with room service. I thought this was going to take it out of my check. Miss Smith, who's his road manager, said $700 for what when we was checking out. And I was just happened to be standing right at the counter with her to make sure she was good for us to get into the tour bus.
Yeah.
And they said the room number. She said, and she looked at me. She said, damn, Jug, you was balling, weren't you? Paid the money and we left. I was prepared to say, oh, you can take, I was so scared. I was prepared to say you can take it out of my salary. But no, she was like, oh, you was balling. It was nothing. And then we just kept moving to the next city. Yeah. But yeah, that was my first gig, was Katt Williams. And I didn't believe it was real, but it was very real.
That sounded like that was a good time. One of your first ones dealing with Katt Williams. Definitely sounds like it was a great opportunity for you. You've been doing this for years. I'm pretty sure you got plenty of stories. What is probably the the craziest time that you've had being a security, and how did you handle that?
Okay, I was working for Lil Uzi. I was one of Lil Uzi's first bodyguards. When he
Okay.
first came out, Money Longer and DJ Drama, and well, Lake actually is the one who reached out to me. Shout out to DJ Drama, shout out to Lake, some really, really good guys. Uzi was phenomenal. This is when he was with his girlfriend still. So he was actually really, really good to do security for, because all he did was go to the show and he would go back to his hotel room. It wasn't like we were up all night or etc. But started off great. Per diem wasn't always on time, so I was missing meals. They paid for the travel. We wasn't in five-star hotels, but we still like the Sheraton, the Hilton,
Right,
wasn't
right.
stuff like that. But no complaints. I was cool. You know, always had your own room, always like that. And then we was out in Arizona, and I haven't been paid for weeks. Bills were due back home. I'm still trying to run Juggernaut Security for the nightlife scene. I
Mhm.
had lieutenants, team leaders, still giving them orders and still doing the schedule. You know, sending guards, men and women to different locations. And I was 270 something pounds, and then I went down to 212 pounds. I was losing weight because I was not eating. They wasn't feeding me. So when I approached Lake, me and Lake actually cool now. We shook years later after this. But basically I demanded my money. I wanted my money. It was another manager named Pat. Uzi, I was supposed to go with Uzi. We was in Arizona, but I was supposed to fly to California real fast to shoot a video with Uzi, and I was supposed to travel with just me, Uzi, and Lake. Lake, they ended up leaving me because I demanded my money, and then Pat was there to kind of good cop, bad cop. There was two managers I was dealing with. So Lake left. He was the one that really I had a problem with because they wasn't feeding me or paying me. They left me there. So then Pat was like, we decided to, well, Lake, he put it on Lake. Lake decided to move in a different direction with security. I said, bro, I just want my money. That's fine. Just give my money. He said, well, you have to get with me with Lake. Lake's in California. I'm in Arizona. Do you know they got on that tour bus and I'm sitting there in the lobby. We're checked out with
Yeah.
my suitcase looking like Buddha clown or whatever you want to call it, just looking dumb with my luggage, no money, and still hungry, and my suitcase, and I'm just sitting there as the tour bus takes off. And Uzi wasn't even there. It was just the rest of the entourage that was traveling. And I guess Uzi, after he shot the video, they're gonna catch up with them in the next city.
Right.
So Lake wasn't even there to tell me in person that he wanted to move in a different direction. Shout out to Uzi was no issue. Uzi wasn't a problem. I was dealing with the managers when it came to payment and stuff like that. I was promised to get paid after every show, and then it was every week, and then every week went to every 2 weeks, and every 2 weeks went to,
Nothing at all.
whenever we get around to paying you, that's when we gonna pay you. Yeah, they left me. So I ended up scraping up some money from still doing Juggernaut Security. The problem was we didn't have Apple Pay, we didn't have Zelle, we didn't have Cash App. We had none of those things. And I didn't even have Bank of America. Bank of America was everywhere at the time. I was
Right.
banking with TD Banks. There was no TD Banks in Arizona.
Yep.
So that was my dilemma. And then they didn't even have Ubers back then. Uber was just a new thing that they were starting to do. So it was like, it was really Western Union, but I didn't even know how to get to a Western Union. So what was this? Somebody ended up get my money back home. And it was hard for them to get the money because I wasn't there, TD Banks. So I forget how, some kind of way, somebody buy me a ticket. I made my way to the airport. From the airport, I flew back to Delaware to Philly and then got home. When I got home, I was good. I had access to TD Banks and yeah. So, but that was one of the most messed up situations that I was in, and I felt somewhat helpless. I knew I was okay, but I felt helpless because here I am with all these people I really don't know. I was the only security guard. It wasn't like it was a security team. I don't know none of these people. Pat was from Atlanta, and they was from all over the place. You know,
Right.
if you ever travel with people when they're on tour, they're from all over the place. So I don't know none of these people. None of these people are not my friends. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, like y'all gonna do me like that, and then I can't really turn up. What am I gonna do? He could go to jail and turn up on Pat. Pat didn't have nothing to do with this. Lake is going. Lake's in California with Uzi. If anything, that's where I probably would have turned up on was Lake. Oh, you gonna get my money type shit. But I don't feel like in business you should have to do that. If you're a professional, you should have to swell up. We're not. It shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be like that. You should have to turn up to get like if I hire you to be a DJ and then at the end of the night. So now I got policies in place now where you got to pay me half up front. And then the other half when I step foot on the premises. This way, as a grown man, I don't have to chase you around or beg you for my money. I'm not doing that.
So it's crazy that you speak of that, right? Because
Mhm,
before moving to Delaware, I was living in a place called Springfield, Massachusetts, right?
mhm,
And out there, when we would do events or whatever may be the case, having whatever artists come out, it was just like they would show up and we'd be like, all right, we'll give you the money by the end of the night. All right.
mhm.
So my first time that I moved out this way and I decided to bring Oskino out to an event,
Okay.
I realized, and shout to him because he actually, in a sense, turned me on to the better way of conducting business, right?
Mhm,
Obviously, I saw, gave him the deposit, boop, boop. This is for the event. So he got the deposit and he shows up and I'm like, all right, you'll get your money by the end of the night. And I'm staying in this car until I get the rest of that money before I come out and do anything, right?
mhm,
So, and it's like, and it's not check. I need cash. You know what I'm saying? Long story short, we ended up taking care of them, but then it kind of made my process change of how I thought on how I deal with certain things now, right? So now
mhm,
I changed my business strategy up to where if you're hiring me as a DJ, you can pay me the down payment on a check if you need to, because it could be a business or something, right? That's paying me.
mhm,
You can give
mhm,
me that, but when I show up there, I need cash, right? I need cash before I even start hooking up my equipment. I need cash by then because a lot of times, especially in the DJ world, the promoters would be like, I'm gonna pay you, I don't know, let's just throw a crazy number out there, which I think is
mhm,
ridiculous. I'm gonna pay you 250 to DJ for the night for a couple hours, and then
mhm,
at the end of the night, they're like, well, the night didn't go as well, so I can
mhm,
only give you 125. Like that's not my fault. I wasn't the promoter.
mhm.
So
What you're preaching to the choir, because if you think about it, security, DJs, bartenders, we all live that same type of nightlife. And I totally get what you're saying. You're
right,
definitely preaching to the choir. That doesn't have nothing to do with you as a DJ. You're not the promoter. I came and
exactly.
did my job, whether one person showed up. Because guess what? If they have a great, fantastic night, most promoters, they're not going to give you nothing extra.
They're not gonna give it.
So
Yeah,
why do you think they're entitled? Why do they think they're entitled to pay us less if no one showed up?
right.
Because if 1,000 people showed up or 2,000 people showed up and you had an awesome night financially, you're not blessing the security or the DJs. Oh, here
Nope,
you go. We had such
nope.
an awesome night. No.
Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah. That's something, and that's the way you got to handle business. Unfortunately, that's the
mhm,
way it is. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
So creating the business and I understand we've listened to the highs, right? You had the highs with Katt Williams, you had some
mhm.
lows going on there. What was some of the challenges in just creating the business? Has there been any setbacks that are it could have been personally in life that might have pushed you back a little bit and you had to get your mind right to move forward and keep pushing this business forward into where it's going now and to where we're going now as a Juggernaut Security Group, right? What challenges have you had to deal with?
One is the people who are closest to you, they can hurt you. I made the mistake of some of my security guards, some of my juggernauts, I like to call them, they will stab you in your back and they will take a location from you $5 cheaper.
Right.
Damn, I thought we was better than that. And then you'll have some of the juggernauts to go with them. And so I've had that happen quite a few times. But then I started putting in a no compete clause if I get a solid contract. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to worry about that anymore. Remember, I told you the door guy gets most of the networking opportunities because people's trying to, yeah, I like the way you guys move. So instead of them saying, hey, you need to call Jug, they're saying, take my number down. So that's another thing you got to look out for. These guys are trying to create emotion over here, and then they're calling me saying, hey, I can't work this weekend. Do you mind if I take so and so and so and so with me? Basically, you just took a bunch of Juggernaut securities with you for a contact that you got with the Juggernaut security uniform on that you're doing over here because when that person was leaving, but see, I couldn't be at every location. That's one of the pitfalls of expanding. I can't always be at the door anymore. And plus, evolving evolution, I don't want to be at the door anymore,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. That's how I started. But that's how you get a lot of the contacts. So some of these guys, would take your number down. So that was one of them. So I had to think of ways around that. COVID, of course, COVID was very scary because I always thought everybody always wanted security. But when they did that whole shutdown, essential workers and all that stuff, only thing that saved me was, God rest his soul, was George Floyd. When George Floyd got murdered, then man, my phone rung off the hook, and I got so many corporate contracts from CNN, from MSNBC World News, from Fox International News, or overseas news. Like we were working with all these news companies to, like how you said, Joe protected your equipment. We will protect their personnel first, like the news anchor, the cameraman.
Right.
They had a little road manager. I don't know what their title was called, but it was always somebody behind the scenes making things move. And
Yeah.
then the secondary was their equipment. And they had us in the trenches everywhere. We was doing the marches in Philly. We walked over 21,000 miles one day. It was crazy. We was really out there with the National Guards and the rioting and all the stuff that was happening in Philly. Juggernaut Security was there, and I'm very proud of that. But that was one of the lows. Definitely that. One of my partners I started out with, we had the first license was in her name, and she refused to reinstate or renew the license. So
Right.
I was about to lose everything. And then I went out and got the license in my name. And then once I got the license in my name and everything, I was able to, keep everything moving. And I kept it that way ever since now. It's been a lot of trials and tribulations. There's been highs and lows. But I will say right now, everything is steady and the phone constantly rings. Always get pickup work. I get repeat customers, whether it's yearly. I'm always getting repeat customers. I'm always getting really good phone calls. But to be honest with you, I will do bodyguard work, but corporate money is where it's at now.
Yeah.
You can literally make six figures and become a millionaire just dealing with corporate businesses. It's not as glamorous, it's not as glitzy, it's not as popular. A lot of these guys want to do all the celebrities and stuff and shine and be front row walking through. But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I've made more money doing corporate security, which is very boring. But guess what? Very lucrative. And I put
Yes.
different men and women in position to work these jobs, whether we're at Lowe's, whether it's Best Buy, whether it's Starbucks, because we've done them. We've done, what's that bank all in Pennsylvania? I can't think of the name of it. We work for this bank, Truist Bank, all
Right.
throughout Pennsylvania. When their systems go down, we've done pretty much every even Tesla. Tesla came to Wilmington, Delaware. I don't know if you remember a few years back. He
Uh-huh.
was being sued, and the case was being heard in federal court. Elon came to Delaware,
Yes.
and he rented out the whole 15th floor in a skyscraper in downtown Wilmington in less than a week. It looked like an operational. It was empty. It was empty, but they had everything in there, and he had a bunch of fancy, smancy New York lawyers, and Juggernaut Security was there with the suits on, and we checked you in. Checked your credentials, make sure you were supposed to be on the 15th floor. If you
Right.
got
Right.
off that elevator, we were right there. We was the security team that greeted you. Now we were subcontracted, but I'm okay with being subcontracted because guess what? The check still clears. As
Yep.
long as the check clears, we're cool.
Yep. Yep. So I like what you're saying there, right? Because everything you're saying is definitely relatable, right?
Mhm.
I feel like myself, you have to go through that growing period, right? You're starting off with clubs, right? Your security in
Nightclubs,
clubs,
yeah. My
nightclubs,
roots, that's where I started.
right? That's where,
Mhm.
and I'm DJing clubs, right? So
Mhm.
you got to realize that there's more than just that, right? So that's where the roots are, and definitely respect to that because we can always go back to the roots and keep doing our things. But at some
Mhm.
point, you got to learn. You got to take what you've learned and try to expand on that and make
Evolve. You gotta
and evolve,
evolve.
right?
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
you spoke going from nightclub security to doing corporate security, right?
Mhm.
Realizing that you're gonna make more money. It's the same as me, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Going from nightclub DJing where I probably make $300, $400 nightclub
Mhm.
DJ
Mhm.
to being a corporate DJ where I'm making $1,000, $2,000 DJing, right? Big
Mhm.
difference. And although I might have to play more of an open format than normally just at a hip hop club,
Mhm.
it is what it is, right? As long as I get everybody
Mhm.
dancing, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you got to evolve. You can't stay in place. You have to continue to evolve, right? Whether changing, as long as you're making progress, that's the key, right? Making progress, continue to grow more, right? Like, it sounds like you're doing good. I would like to see, Juggernaut Security Group. If they was to throw another WrestleMania in Philadelphia, they'd call Juggernaut Security to make sure to make sure they, checking credentials on everybody coming in behind stage or something like that, right? I think you're heading in the right place. Definitely hearing the story where you started, because we haven't really had the chance to kind of bust it up and talk, but we've seen each other in passing at different
cross
events and
paths
whatnot,
here,
right?
yeah.
And I definitely, I'm definitely appreciating everything that you're doing, man. I always get hyped up, man. I'm by no way a hater. Like, I like seeing people progress, and just hearing your story has let me know that you've made a big progress since the beginning, since you first started.
Well,
Back from, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
you definitely made a lot of things.
I will like to add that one of the things, if anybody out here listening to the podcast that wants to throw their hat in the arena, do security or whatever it is that you want to do, whatever business it is, you have to network. And I learned from the Shadow Group. Forgot to tell you about that. We did the Super Bowl weekend down in Miami, Florida. And I used to always say I need a bigger stage, need a bigger arena. Shadow Group, and his name was Shadow, God rest his soul, he passed away. He taught me that the bigger the network, the bigger the net worth. And that's something that I completely believe in, something that I live by. And I learned when I was on tour with Katt Williams and I was on tour with Lil Uzi, I always exchanged numbers, got people's contacts. So if anybody ever asked me, hey, you got security in Pittsburgh? Yeah, I do. You got security in California? Yeah, I do. You got in Nashville, Tennessee? Yeah, I do. And you want to use these guys if you want to. If it's not like checking in, but it's nothing like having somebody who's from that city who do what you do to help you out, and you putting some money in their pocket
Right.
and helping them out, and they helping you out too. And I just believe in networking. And I wouldn't have no way I could have done all this by myself. You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. But you're absolutely right. Corporate is definitely a different tax bracket versus my roots where I started from. And
no
that's where I'm headed
disrespect, still
now.
love to the roots, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's where it came.
yeah,
Definitely love to the
yeah.
roots. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I always tell people until the wheels fall off. I'm gonna ride until the wheels fall off. So I still got the nightclubs.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know I do a lot of corporate security, but that's where I'm headed now. I feel like that's the next. I mean, I'm already doing corporate, but I want to do corporate on another level. And when I mean another level, I'm talking about, you've heard of Allied Security. Like, these are billion-dollar corporations. There's a host of them, And I never been greedy. I don't even need a whole slice of the pie. Give me a piece of the slice. Gotta watch my weight anyway. But you get what I'm saying? Like, it's enough for everybody, and there's no need to backstab. It's no need to talk dirty about somebody else that does the same thing that you do. If anything, we should embrace each other, try to help each other. And like I said, the bigger the network, the bigger the net worth. It makes no sense. If I'm a DJ, you're a DJ, let's help each other versus trying to backdoor each other or stab each other in the back or slander each other, or he's trash or he's whatever the case may be, It's just, to me, that just never made any sense to me. And I stay away from security companies that do that. Like, I've had a lot of people badmouth me, and I've never done bad business. Only thing somebody could probably say to me is they don't like me. But and I'm okay with that, because they can never say they never got paid. I paid very good money, and in some certain situations, depending on your skill set and your certifications, that's where you'll fall in line when it comes to pay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I definitely appreciate you coming on the show today. Like I said, you definitely got a lot going on. Keep it going. You'll have your ups and your downs, right? But brush it off, keep it going, man. You're doing the right choices. And you're thinking bigger, right? You're thinking bigger. You're like, I'm here, but I want more. I want to keep growing, right? And that's what you have to keep doing, man. Don't settle. Do not settle. Keep going, man. Keep going, man. I definitely appreciate that.
absolutely.
Yes,
Always.
sir.
Yep.
Yes. And of course, doesn't matter what situation you're in, whether it's the fallback, the get back, or the comeback. Remember, you're special. You have purpose. So get out there and get it. Peace.
Saying kicking it.